Nothing's destroyed or delayed my progress in my business, my fitness, my racing career, or anything else more than my own mind. And I decided to kind of just make this video off the cuff because I was texting my little brother Colby earlier today because he's training at a motocross training facility down in Oklahoma right now, and he's on like a factory team and everything. Like he's seriously kicking ass with racing motocross. And I mean, if I came back to racing, I'd totally whoop him. But that's beside the point. But regardless, I had gotten a text because my mom is down there with him at the facility, and I got a text from her saying that the track was really, really tough and challenging today, or just not as good, and basically Colby was really struggling. So she asked me to reach out to him and kind of help him out a little bit because I've overcome a lot when it comes to mindset and things and figured a lot out over the course of my racing career and just in business and stuff in general. And I can't read off exactly what I said because I'm using my phone as my camera right now. But I said something to him along the lines of, I heard this quote from Ryan Dungey, and if you're in the motocross world, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But Ryan's like one of the best racers in history, and definitely in my opinion is one of the best. He's won numerous championships, and he's actually my favorite racer of all time. But he said, learn to love the track. And funny enough, I actually don't like that quote at all, and it's because there's been many times where I absolutely hated the track. And by the way, this totally pertains to basically any area of life, not just racing. But racing is where I first discovered this kind of concept and everything, and basically what has delayed my progress and held me back so much. So when it comes to that quote, I'm not a fan of it because there's so many times that I actually hate the track, and there's nothing you could tell me to make me like it because it's genuinely just not good on that particular day. So I don't necessarily like that quote. However, the belief that I decided to kind of bring on to myself and how I would approach training and racing in general, and also this pertains to pretty much all areas, whether it's business, fitness, sports, pretty much anything, is that the track is never good nor bad. It's simply just the way it is. And it's my job as the racer, as the rider, to go out there and adapt to whatever the conditions are and ride it the best that I possibly can. And basically, instead of complaining about how it is or how bad it is or how much I don't like it, and basically completely throwing away the day and not getting anything out of that particular day of training or racing, instead I just approached it in a way where it's like, the track is simply the way it is today. It might not be the way I'd prefer it to be, but regardless, this is the condition that I've been dealt and the condition that I'm dealing with, and I'm going to adapt to it and I'm going to ride it the best that I possibly can. So I kind of explained that to him and stuff. And another analogy that I like to use with this, that's a little bit more general, is that the weather is never good nor bad. It's simply the way it is, and it's our perspective that we put on it that makes it good or bad. Like, for example, my like ideal weather, like the weather that I love the most, specifically for like when I'm working and stuff, is when it's like super cloudy, maybe it's even raining outside. That's like my favorite weather for working, mainly because it makes me feel less bad about the fact that I'm just sitting at my desk inside working and I'm not like outside in the sun and everything. So that's probably why. But regardless, that's my favorite type of weather. Now yours might be completely different. Like you might love a completely like super hot sunny day with zero clouds. I don't like that at all, unless if I'm at the beach or something, obviously. But regardless, it's the perspective on the weather that actually makes us like it or not like it or look at it as good or bad. But if it's raining outside, instead of complaining about it raining, simply remember to grab an umbrella. And that might sound like a super simplified approach to this and everything, but honestly, like that's how I approach everything now, where I look at it in more of a logical perspective versus emotional. So going back to the racing, like regardless of what the track condition is and how it is or how I'm feeling that day, like I look at it in a logical way where I'm like, this is the condition that I've been dealt, and I'm going to face it the best that I possibly can. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to try and put in 100% effort today and make the adjustments and just get the most out of it that I possibly can, regardless of the conditions. And this applies with pretty much every area of life. Like for me specifically, when it comes to like business and productivity and getting things done, or even going to the gym, like I first heard this concept from Andrew Tate when it comes to obviously discipline and how you're feeling and how your emotions shouldn't affect your actions. But I just really love his approach or the way that he explained it, which is basically regardless of how I feel, whether it's when I first wake up in the morning or just throughout the day. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really feeling like making this video, but I knew that I really needed to, so here I am making it. But regardless of how I feel, I still need to take the actions that need to get done that day. So if I wake up in the morning and I feel like total crap and I don't feel like doing anything, I don't feel motivated, like my body might ache or whatever, I still need to get up and get after it with my business, getting stuff done, getting those tasks finished, getting on calls with clients, helping my clients, doing all of that. I need to still go to the gym and stay in shape. I need to eat healthy. I need to follow my like nutrition plan or like hit my macro numbers that I have every day. Like, I need to still take those actions regardless of how I feel. So it goes hand in hand with the approach that I have with racing, because with racing, it's basically whatever the condition is, like whatever the track condition is or how I'm feeling that day, I still need to approach it in the same way, where it's like, I'm going to get the most out of this that I possibly can by simply adapting to whatever the condition is and making the most out of it that I can and riding the track the best that I possibly can. And for example, like with riding, if the track is, say, dry and slick and stuff, which like most racers hate it when that's the condition. If it's dry and slick, instead of complaining about it and being like, oh, they didn't put enough water down on the track, like there's not a single rut in any corner or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Like, instead of doing that, which is what I used to do, instead I'll look at it and I'll be like, all right, well, today the track's a bit more dry and slick, so maybe I need to slow it down a bit and weight the outside peg more, and also I need to have more throttle control so I don't slide out as easily. I need to roll on the throttle more smoothly and all those sorts of things. Like, I'm adjusting my technique and the way that I'm approaching riding on that particular day because that's the condition I've been given. So I'm looking at it in a logical way of like, what is the logically best way that I can approach riding the conditions that I have today so that I can still go as fast as I possibly can and ride the track the best that I possibly can. So I'm looking at it in that frame versus the person who's looking at it and they're like, this sucks today. The track is terrible. This is such a waste of time, waste of money and gas. Like, we should just go home, blah, blah, blah. Like, who do you think is going to get more out of that particular day of training? Obviously, me looking at it in this particular way. And I think that if you can look at things in that way, especially in sports, like, you will absolutely dominate the competition because this is where most people live. And I know that from experience because even whenever I go to the track and ride, like if I'm riding with my buddies or just anybody in general, the amount of times that people are just constantly complaining about the track and the conditions and all this stuff, and I'll kind of sit there silent, and in my head I'm thinking about this concept and I'm like I know, and it might sound cocky and stuff, but I don't care. But I know on those days that is where I'm literally getting ahead of my competition, and that is where I'm gaining and getting the most progress, because these guys are only showing up at 100% when all the conditions are the exact way that they want it to be, whereas I'm showing up 100% regardless of what the conditions are. I'm showing up 100% of the time. Like, think about that. Like the conditions might only be the way they want it 20% of the time. And I can say it's probably around that, if not less, when it comes to riding at like public tracks and stuff. So imagine only putting in 100% effort 20% of the time and competing with the guy who's putting in 100% effort 100% of the time. Like, just think about the difference there and who's going to progress and how much faster this one is going to progress. So hopefully that makes sense. But once again, it's the same with business, same with everything, same with going to the gym. It's basically looking at it in a logical versus emotional way. And a little like strategy that you can implement right away that I use all the time, or like a framework of thinking that I've brought on, is that whenever I'm not like feeling super great, or whenever I'm not feeling motivated, or I don't want to do something that I know I need to do, I'll basically look at it I'll ask myself what I want to do in that particular situation emotionally and logically. So like, what do I want to do emotionally right now, and what do I need to do logically right now? So for example, if I am really not feeling like going to the gym and stuff, emotionally, I don't want to go to the gym. I have no interest in going. I feel like crap. My body aches. I'm tired. I would much rather sit at my desk and just work, or even sit on the couch and watch TV. That's what I emotionally want to do. Now, logically, what should I do that will help me get to my ideal dream outcome or result that I'm aiming for. Which in that particular case, it's getting in really killer physical shape so that when I take my shirt off and look at myself, or other people look at me, or chicks at the beach look at me, they're like, damn, he looks freaking good. Like, if that's my goal, then obviously logically what needs to be done is I need to go to the gym right now. Doesn't matter how I feel. I need to go to the gym and work out and have my protein powder. So when you do it in that way, not only does it show you that you, most of the time, you know what you need to do, but when you also put it out there to yourself, like, this is what I want to do, this is what I should do, you'll realize how almost pathetic this is, how pathetic this emotional action is to take. And most of the time, you're going to actually want to go with the logical thing, especially now that you realize that you do know what to do. Because I think a lot of times, even myself, like, I'll use the excuse of, I don't know what to do right now, or I don't know what I should do, when 90% of the time, I actually do know exactly what should be done or what I need to do in this particular situation. It's just simply a matter of getting it out of your mind and actually looking at it in this way. So maybe try that framework. It's worked really, really well for me, where whenever I'm like not feeling so good, or I don't want to do something that I know I should do, I'll ask myself that of like, what do I emotionally want to do? What should I logically do that'll help me get to my like dream outcome or goal or whatever? And that's helped me a lot. So anyway, I think I'll leave you with that and kind of leave you with everything I said. So hopefully that all makes sense, but I just want to make this quick video to kind of talk about that, because honestly, this like mental shift has been so massive for me in racing, my business, and pretty much everything, because it's really just a matter of doing what needs to be done and approaching things in the best logical possible way, regardless of what the conditions are that you've been given. Because the person who shows up 100% and has a positive mentality and mindset, regardless of what the conditions are, that person is always going to get better and progress at a faster rate than the person who shows up and is only showing up at their like peak, like at their best 20% of the time, when everything is perfect and all the conditions are perfect. You know, like this person who always shows up regardless and does what needs to get done, they're always going to outperform the person who can only show up when the conditions are the way that they want it to be. So anyway, hopefully that all makes sense and stuff. Feel free to drop in the comments if you have any questions. But yeah, hopefully I didn't ramble too much. But regardless, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to subscribe for more stuff like this. And also check out my Skool community. It'll be linked in the description. Super, super excited about what we're doing in there and what is to come with that. So it's really, really sweet. Everybody in there is loving it, getting amazing, amazing results. So definitely check that out. There's a full video on the page that it'll take you to that explains what the community consists of and who it's for and everything. So feel free to check it out. Would love to have you in there. But regardless, with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.